Bill's Place Outdoor Power Equipment here. Today we have another 14D932-0110-F1 Toro Timemaster engine. And we are still in search of a good crankcase and crankshaft so that we can rebuild one for a unit we have that is in good shape. So as we take this apart, we'll see what we find out. I want to point out here, he's putting a knocker, a tool he's screwing on the flywheel here. It's called a knocker. You screw that on the end of the crankshaft real close to where the flywheel is. You want to screw it on really deep, but not all the way. And then he's going to put a screwdriver underneath this flywheel, and he's going to pry up with that screwdriver at the same time as he smacks that knocker. That's going to jolt that flywheel and take that off of there. Even some of my best friends have asked me how to take flywheels off, and they don't believe me, but this is the actual way to do it. So you can put a puller on there if you want, but it's a lot of trouble. That's a lot of hassle. Now we're going to take off the standoffs that hold on the recoil assembly. You've got to be careful when you take these off because they like to get cross-threaded down in those holes there and snap off. A lot of times when you go to take the recoil off, the nut on top of it will be seized to it and it'll pull the whole assembly out of there. In the process, it winds up pulling the threads out of the block, and it's a real nightmare. You've got to drill it out, helicoil it. It's a real pain. Pretty sure there's like 12 millimeter heads on those bolts there. Looks like he's searching pretty hard to find it. I think a 13 would have probably got it off, but and now we've got the gas tank. There's one more bolt underneath the gas tank here. Pretty sure that's a 10 millimeter head, as he's about to find out. And maybe not that one, but maybe that one. Nope, not that one either. Hold on. One more try. There you go. Now behind this bolt is a plastic spacer. When he pulls this out of here, we'll probably see that spacer fall down. It's about 3/4 of an inch long. Goes between the mounting. Yep, there it goes. Goes between that mount and the block. Just make sure if you do this on a mower, look for that little spacer because it'll run away on you. And now the gas tank's out of the way. Now we need to take this carburetor off here. Pretty sure that's a T20 or something to that effect. I don't know exactly. But you can only get to it with the Torx on the right side there. You can't get anything else in there. So he's going to just use that Torx to get both of them out. You can get the other side out with a socket, but you can't get both of them. Can't remember if there's a T20 or T25, but it's one of those two. We'll get that linkage off the carburetor, and that's out of the way. That little control plate out of there. And there is a little spacer stuck to the head. Sometimes it'll come off, sometimes it won't real easily. I think that one's stuck on pretty good. There goes the dipstick. It just slides in. Actually goes over that little standoff there. That's what holds it in. Something to think about is if that bolt for that recoil where that dipstick is held on, if that bolt breaks off right there, which used to happen a lot. I haven't seen it happen as much anymore. But if that bolt breaks off, that recoil gets very floppy and the dipstick wants to fall out. It becomes a real problem when you're pulling on that rope all the time. But I've seen a lot of mowers come in that way. And now he's going to take off all the little sheet metal plates to guide the airflow and everything. Get those out of the way. And for some reason, he just does not want to take that coil off at all. He's going to take the other piece of sheet metal off. Get that one out of the way. If he can figure out how. There you go. Another little bolt there. There's 2 bolts on that one. And what else we got here? Another little bolt there in that triangular piece is for the reed breather for the crankcase ventilation system. That little plastic piece goes over that little octagonal standoff there, or hexagonal standoff that's just there to guide the air around the block. That's all that's for. So now he's going to stand this one up. Let's see what we got here. Maybe get that valve cover out of your way. Those valve cover bolts are 10 millimeter. You've got 2 tall standoffs on one side and then 2 bolts on the other side. Those standoffs have a bracket that goes around the side there to protect the carburetor, which wasn't on this engine when we started, so for some reason that 5/8 socket's not going on that spark plug. Don't know why. It should, but it's not. I think he's about to give up on it. There we go with that 10 millimeter. We'll just put that in there. Take out those 4 bolts here. I've seen quite a few of these come in new in the box with those valve cover bolts loose. That's not uncommon. I don't know why. Gotta love that Briggs quality. Now valve cover's out of the way. See if he would have got that ignition coil out of his way, he wouldn't have to keep pushing it out there. I don't know why. There's only 1 bolt holding it on, but for some reason he wants to have that there. That's fine. He can take the cylinder head off. Pretty sure that's a 10 millimeter. There's 4 10 millimeter bolts that hold that cylinder head on. And 1 more. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. And off comes the cylinder head. Now don't panic. I see there's quite a bit of oil there. This engine's been in the back in storage for probably a year or more. We're just taking these all down, trying to find some good parts, something we can use. That head's probably still good. We'll clean that up and save that. There's that coil wire again. I don't know why he won't take that off. Just soak up all that oil there. From this angle, it's not looking too good, but we'll find out. Push rod's out. Governor rod's kind of in the way there. And now that's removed. And that's the breather hose that just pulls out from the side over there. And down here we have the oil pan. There are 7 bolts to hold this oil pan on. They are 3/8 is the head size, not that socket. Looks like maybe that socket. Maybe not. Did he get the right one? No, he didn't. but those are 3/8. Pretty sure he's using a 10mm, but that's okay. It'll do it. It's pretty close, a little bit bigger. And we're going to take 7 bolts out. And there they are, all 7. And you're going to have to tap that pan loose with a hammer because that gasket holds it on pretty good. Last one we took apart had RTV holding it on, which I had to tap on it a lot more than I wanted to. And let's take a look here. There's the inside. A little oily. Roller bearing in the bottom of that oil pan. There's our governor gear. There's our camshaft, which the camshaft was no good on this engine. The bearing surface in the block down there was worn out really bad. And I believe the lobes were worn off a little bit on that plastic camshaft. I'm assuming this engine ran without oil for quite some time, regardless of the oil that's in there. They always bring them in. They always load them up with oil after they've run them out. Okay, let's see here. That's the timing gear. That was fine. Don't see those really have any problems. Crankshaft right there. He's got the connecting rod lined up so he can get to it. Now these bolts should be pretty tight. In fact, these bolts should be real tight. To take these off with a 1/4-inch ratchet that's 6 inches long, it takes pretty good force. And he's going to grab a ratcheting wrench. And look how easily that came loose. That should not be that loose. I don't know the exact torque spec on those, but I'm going to say it's at least 90 or 100 inch-pounds for sure. Now, there's 2 connecting rod bolts here. Keep in mind that they are different lengths. They only go in one way. You can tell when you get the connecting rod out that one is 1/4 inch or so longer than the other. I suppose you could put the short one in the long hole, but you're never going to get the long one in the short hole. Not that I think too many people are going to be rebuilding these engines, but you never know. And they do take forever to get out because they are long and you just don't have a lot of room. And if you had that coil wire out of the way, I'm telling you, that wouldn't be bugging the hell out of me. We're about to find out if this connecting rod and crankshaft are any good. My guess is going to be no. Just looking at the oil, how dark it is, and looking at that crankshaft, you can see how dark that crankshaft is, especially right around the connecting rod there. The blacker they get, that usually indicates they ran low on oil and they started to overheat. And once they get real hot, they turn black and blue. And that crankshaft looks like it is pretty dark in color. We're going to find out here in just a second. I think that top bolt that he's taking out now, that's the longer of the two. And there's our connecting rod cap, and it is really bad. It is black and scored. And there comes the piston. Oh, there it goes. And it's pretty chewed up on the skirts. Yep, it does not look good, both sides. Always seems to be that case on these Timemaster engines, and you can see now that rod, at the top of that connecting rod, it's silver and that bottom is extremely black. And you can see that same color blackness on that crankshaft throwdown there. It should be a much lighter color. And there's our crankshaft. And there's our bearing surface, which looks absolutely horrible. This one is really bad. At least it didn't break a connecting rod, but not that any of this stuff's any good. Not too much play in the upper bearing there, that's good. Last one we had a lot of play up there. The last one we had actually ran. And there's our cylinder wall. Boy, if that coil was out of the way, it sure would be a lot easier. And here it is. Let's see. There's that coil wire again. And there it is. Yeah, that's horrible. Another wiped out cylinder on a Briggs Stratton engine. Another Timemaster engine bites the dust. So we're going to keep taking these apart until we find one that's good. And eventually we'll be able to rebuild one. So stay tuned for the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below.